It's time to build. Very basic thing that we've been saying. What we're trying to accomplish, and I think we're really getting momentum now across the country, is we don't want to hear what people are against. We want to hear what they're for. And if you're for something, we will get behind you.
So, you know, you hear the applause there about when he's talking about we want to hear what you're for, not what you're against. I think many in that crowd are probably for a proposed pipeline. And so that's really the Prime Minister didn't name drop Eby, but there was a subtle call out, I would say, is tell me what you're for, not what you're against.
Okay. And I think we know that Premier Eby was against. He was very outspoken, in his criticism of the carbon pricing deal with the feds that they had with Alberta, and about the plans for a pipeline that would go through BC. I'm curious what his mood was like ahead of today's one-on-one meeting or face-to-face with the Prime Minister.
Yeah, so I would say the mood was definitely softened. It was definitely more of a friendly tone, and the Premier really emphasized what the two do agree on. Clean technology, advancing BC's LNG sector. He praised Mark Carney for standing up to Trump. He didn't say his name specifically, but he said people who want to, attack our economy and destroy our trade. And so, those are the building blocks of what they do agree on. But the Premier was quite frank as well about being a friend to BC, and here's what he had to say on that.
There's no doubt in my mind but that the Prime Minister is a friend to British Columbia. And an important part of friendship is telling each other the truth, and part of the truth for British Columbia is that development work that we're doing, of developing our economy, has to go hand in hand with environmental protection for the next generation, including the North Coast tanker ban. That is crucially important for British Columbians, protecting our pristine North Coast, as well as ensuring we have that balance. And I know the Prime Minister shares those values too.
So the Premier mentioned the North Coast tanker ban.
Yeah.
That would have to be lifted if a oil pipeline were to go to BC's North Coast to, say, Prince Rupert. But that's not the only route. There's still the potential of a southern route that would mirror the Trans Mountain pipeline.
Right.
And we have asked the Premier over and over, would you be more supportive of that? Would perhaps be that would have more buy-in from First Nations leaders who would acknowledge it doesn't affect the tanker ban? And he's dodged that. He said, well, there's no route. I'm not going to answer a hypothetical. So that could be an area where perhaps the Prime Minister might be able to gain traction and say, we will support LNG projects, we'll support critical mineral rights. We want you to support a southern route.
A little bit of back and forth there, give and take. I'm curious just sort of what is expected to come, as a result of today's meetings. Is it sort of those concessions on either side or future plans?
Well, that's a great question. We are still waiting to hear if the Premier will take questions at the legislature. He's heading back there now. He has to be there for cabinet and question period. So we'll be asking, what did BC get? What concrete, any assurances coming out of the meeting? Did you have to give up anything? Yeah. The Premier had said he was going to be pushing for BC to get the same lower industrial carbon price as Alberta got. We don't know if that was secured as well. So there's a lot of questions of what this meeting achieved, but certainly going into it, the tensions were a bit higher, and perhaps this meeting has calmed them down and had some, basically face-to-face helps broker deals, but we have to find out what kind of deals were made.
I guess we will be checking in with you later then, Katie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks. I know it's a busy day for you.
Thanks, Amy.
That is our...